sound system or singing with a reggae sound system. So that's where I kind of felt a little bit of community and a little piece of Jamaica. But apart from that and finding the things that I loved, it was, again, a lot of fighting, a lot of getting in trouble, and a lot of, because I was dealing with a whole heap of mental health issues as well. To be quite frank, I never did want to be here. I never wanted to be here. I never wanted to really exist in this space where I feel like I'm constantly trying to fight to survive or fight to live or fight to feel like I'm mad.
Nice. People, it's the One Devotion. You're now watching the Daily Devotion podcast, the space where we connect and engage with creatives from various industries to share insights on their journey thus far. Listen, I'm gassed right now. I'm gassed. I'm sat with a true goddess, a soul sister, you know, in her own right, a key figure, an advocate for Black excellence. Poet, singer, songwriter. It's my pleasure to be sat here with Danaë Wellington. What are you saying?
What? Hi.
Energy.
Hello. Greetings, everybody.
Greetings. Give thanks.
It's nice to be here, man. It's an honor to be here, Dom.
No, it's overdue still. It's overdue. Normally our conversations consist of being on the phone 2, 3, 4, 5 hours over our Guinness.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're here. How's life?
Life is a lot of things right now.
Okay.
Thanks for that big intro, by the way. Let's hope one can meet the, you know what I mean? The titles are made sure there. But no, thank you. Life is cool. Life is a lot of things right now. And I think I'm just trying to find my footing. A lot of changes happening, and I'm just trying to find where I fit in the midst of it all. Yeah, very vague, but trying to find where I fit, where my footing is.
What's changed? Because in terms of the changes that you're kind of currently trying to navigate through and find yourself and wherever else position yourself.
Yeah.
Well, go on, because you always have like a foot in this, a foot in that. You're also the co-founder of Nayara Sheffield as well, working, trying to study. Like, what's that like?
It's a lot. It's a lot of pressure. To be honest with you, I feel like it's a lot of pressure because I'm trying to be the best that I can be, and so I feel like with what I'm doing, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like I'm a jack of all trades, and I have to, being a freelancer I have to have my foot in a whole heap of pies to make sure that a sister's earning. You know the freelance life. You know what I mean? So
Juggle.
You have to juggle bare things to make sure, you know what I mean, you can keep a roof over your head. But in terms of the changes, it is, as you said, going back to uni last year. I went back to uni and just trying to get my degree. That way I'm studying a BA in Applied Social Sciences. And then juggling Nayara and trying to get our projects up and running. And then doing freelance work and doing writing and developing my poetry craft and all of that. So it's, various different things. And then evolving as a woman as well and as a person, so.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Guess what, you're carrying it well. And we were on about this last night at some hours, early hours as it was, about heavy is the head that wears the crown, and that's what it sounds like to me. That's what it sounds like, having to balance and still trying to navigate, still trying to cut through, going back to study.
Yeah.
You know, as a mature student, I hate that word there, mature, because I think students or learning, it doesn't stop when you leave school. It's a eternal, it's perpetual.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, but again, it's shaping you. It's shaping you.
Yeah, it definitely is, and like, I feel like this term mature as well, in a way, I agree with it and I don't agree with it. I agree with it in the sense that now going back at 28 years old, I know what I want to do. Do you know what I mean? I feel like when you're 17, 18 years old, you're expected to know what this vision is and what you want to do with your life and what your purpose is. And going to uni is a big thing, do you know what I mean? It's a big commitment.
It is.
But a lot of people don't really, and it's not for everybody either. But it's the pressure of society to get the degree, get the car. Do you know, the norms of society? But yeah, now that I've gone back, I'm like, okay, I know what I want to do. This is my third time trying. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, I'm focused now. I see the path that I'm trying to take, and this is where I'm trying to go. But as you said, heavy is the head that wears a crown, because I realized that it's not about me. It's not just uni. It's various different things, and it's not just about me. It's like trying to advance to help my family, and trying to advance to help my community. And it's a lot of pressure, and you can't let things fall. You said I'll wear it nicely in front of people, but when it's closed doors, being autistic as well, it's a lot. I fall apart a lot, and I feel like with people like yourself and the various different people that are doing amazing things out there, you're not given the chance to kind of fall apart, or just to be, you know,
Be vulnerable.
to be vulnerable.
It's true. I think. Again, this is why I'm so useless when it comes to social media and trying to keep up with messages and engaging with people and networking, because, as you're saying, behind closed doors, we fall apart because it's a lot of pressure. And I think I have this conversation a lot, and I feel like in order for me to serve, I need to go to the mountains, I need to isolate, I need to get ish together in order to give from a wholesome place. Because if I'm not, it's not really going to be.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Straight. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So, yeah, straight in. Straight in. I told you, man, soul sister, this is what I'm trying to say. But, no, obviously, life. It's many things, it's been many things for you, your experiences, your testimony to life in itself is deeply compelling. You know, it's inspiring. It's lion art. You know what I'm saying? Chill say me add the natties. Yo, I feel put the tea in there. But yeah, speak on what life was like for Danaë, say 8-9 years old. Where were you? What were your surroundings like? What did things look like?
What did things look like? So there was a lot of changes around that age.
Okay.
So I moved from Jamaica with my older sister and my grandma to England when I was around 8. So it went from backyard to, okay, we're in this country.
Cool.
It's cool. Virgin. There's a whole heap of people I've never seen before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's adjusting to, okay, right, this is, I'm not getting that warmth first and foremost. And it was quickly, okay, how can we adapt? It feels like it was all a blur in a lot of ways. And I didn't have that preparation time, that transition time. It's just, okay, go from one country to the next. And it was, the first couple of years was tough. But in fact, up to now, it was tough. Because it went from being the black girl in Jamaica, or not even the black girl in Jamaica, just Danaë in Jamaica, to the black girl over here. And having to navigate in primary school, kids taking a piss because of the colour of my skin. So that was definitely a big shock to the system. Because you go from being human to being singled out, like, Virgin, one, there's not a lot of people who look like me. And then people are making you feel isolated because of that. So it's like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Nobody's prepping me on how to do this. We just have to just go on. Do, you know what I mean? I feel like that's the best way I can describe it. I just had to survive.
Up until now, as you said as well, and that's the thing, I feel like there's power in that, because it's not like you came over, kind of got used to what was going on culturally, obviously, without being frank, just in a predominantly white school, you know, it's not like that was just a transition that happened over a few years, it's up until now. So, culturally, obviously, Jamaicans, we are very expressive, we're very loud, you know, energy, big mood. How did you deal with that kind of cultural, racial oppression at that age? Or up until now, really?
That's a good question. I feel like now, like looking back, it was a lot of fighting.
No, listen, I was about to put it on and say, yo, this one here ain't don't put a jar out something here, you know.
I'm being fighting man for though.
Yeah.
And you have to find what you're good at. So my thing was, okay, I can play football kind of good enough. I can run kind of fast enough. Yeah, exactly. So it's me and the man them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I became friends with a couple of girls back in primary school. Two of the toughest girls, you get me? So we used to run together.
Okay.
But it was a lot of fighting. A lot of fighting. A lot of just, I think, trying to find where I fit in. And then having to navigate around that, whether it was writing, whether it was through music. Music was the one thing actually, when I touched like 16, 17, that really made me feel some kind of roots to the city and to the country, because I was in a reggae sound system, or singing with a reggae sound system. So that's where I kind of felt a little bit of community and a little piece of Jamaica. But apart from that and finding the things that I loved, it was, again, a lot of fighting, a lot of getting in trouble, and a lot of, because I was dealing with a whole heap of mental health issues as well. To be quite frank, I never did want to be here. I never wanted to be here. I never wanted to really exist in this space where I feel like I'm constantly trying to fight to survive, or fight to live, or fight to feel like I'm mad. And so it took me a long time up until now to feel like actually I've found my place a little bit. I've found my tribe in a little way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's mad, because I feel like that whole narrative of having to fight stems back from Windrush. The times of coming over here, being oppressed, you know, Jamaican man, African woman, you know, that was our only way of kind of communicating. And it's a shame, because I think that's what's taught us, in a sense of saying, well, those people over there, or let's just say a lot of people say black women are, you know, aggressive, they are feisty, mouthy, X, Y, and Z. They're getting it wrong. Completely wrong. Because I know enough sisters, enough goddesses that are gentle as yourself.
Come on.
Gentle, compassionate, well articulated. But they don't understand that a part of our expression comes from the oppression that we had. So when you say that now you've found your tribe, is that because you've now got thicker skin to what's been going on? Is it because you have found your feet in a profession that you love, you know, stable, secure, kind of, or is it just because you feel more accepted?
I feel like it's a mix of things. It is finding the profession that I love and carving out a lane there. I feel like it is meeting a community of people as well, or trying to recreate the community and that unity that I feel like I had in Jamaica, and finding those people that I resonate with as well, like yourself, like Tempa, Paris Mamiti, and also, you know what I mean? People like yourself too. And it's finding those people. And then it's a lot of resisting as well. It's kind of, okay, you people tell me, said this is who you think I am, but it's not who I am. And so I'm gonna go out, for a long time I'm gonna go out of my way to prove to you that, this is who I am, not what you taught me up to be. Because I know, and do you know what, sometimes we feel sorry for people who are born in a foreign. I feel that empathy, because I feel like a lot of people, unless you're born in in fact, no, let me go back. In Jamaica, it was, you were who you were. You're not known by the color of your skin. Do you know what I mean? Life opportunities don't come by the color of your skin. It comes by how hard you work, who you are, who you know, things like that. And I feel like people over here don't really know that so much. It's you're born in a society where it's like constant fighting. And so now I'm like, okay, I don't want to fight. I don't want to be accepted anymore. I'm just going to carve out my lane of joy and find all the things that make me feel joyful, whether that's through writing, whether that's through music, whether it's through, do you know what I mean, congregating and building a social life for the people then that I resonate with. And acceptance will come. If it don't come, then fine, you don't have to like me. Do you know what I mean? But it was a mix of things. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
No, but I respect it. Like, I respect it because it's never just one thing anyway. I don't think anything is just one thing. But again, it's testament because throughout that period of your life, say between, I remember you saying that it was only when I was 16, 17 that I found an avenue through writing on with the sound that I felt a little bit connected. That's 8 years.
Yeah.
Fighting and trying to cut through, so, and there'll be other things within that as well that, right, so it's like, that was a hard time for you, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Speak on how that affected you mentally, at that age, because obviously we don't really put a lot of emphasis. I think now we do because of this COVID virus thing where there's so much emphasis on mental health amongst young people and, well, of all ages really, but speak on how it affected you from then, like what did you turn to, or
Okay.
Once this rap with me.
All right, wait, let's be real frank. So back in those days, I was 16, 17. So when I started with the sound system, I was wild. I was real wild. So I was fighting all the time. I was running in the wrong company as well. So there was a lot of, like, bearing in mind at that time, we're dealing with domestic abuse. We're dealing with a whole heap of other unresolved trauma that I'm working for. And I didn't know I wasn't emotionally mature enough to deal with those things. So I'm drinking, I'm smoking a whole bunch of weed, drinking all the time, fighting, getting in the wrong company. And then again, to be very transparent, there were a few times where I tried to commit suicide as well, because I didn't want to be here, I didn't want to exist. And I didn't see the point because I got sick of fighting. I got sick of trying to survive, and the only way I knew to make things better was to leave. But I tried 4 times, and God said, my darling, nah, you ain't going nowhere. And so I feel like up until 25, 26, 25, where I met my dad for the first time. 25, that was 2018 where I met my dad for the first time. I had a sense of purpose because I knew where I was coming from. And meeting him kind of answered a lot of questions of where I come from, my roots, why I love the things that I love, why I have to fight so much. My dad is a warrior. Do you know what I mean? So when I met him, because for a long I didn't know my dad, I didn't grow up with my dad. And I didn't start talking to my dad till I was 14, and I didn't realize how much I needed that. I didn't realize how much that would be part of my medicine. And it felt a lot like I didn't have parents or I didn't have safe people around me. So when I got to 25, after the fighting and a whole heap of things and the drugs and everything and the wildlife and the partying, when I met him, it was like, oh, okay, you were what I was missing this whole time. The piece that was missing, you know? And this is why I say it, like, a lot of people don't really realize how having your mom and your dad is so important. They don't realize how much it affects you. Do you know what I mean? And you're forever going to be missing roots. You need to be able to lay down roots. And if you don't know what your roots are, then you're going to be wandering for a long time trying to find where you can lay down a foundation. And so when I met my dad at 25 and just seeing him, you know, just catching up meds, and I was like, okay, this is where I get my quietness from. This is where I get my thinking and, you know what I mean, the energy and the will to fight so hard from. Then he told me about my grandfather. My grandfather was a silent man and just catch and sit up on the beach in a Jamaican Icona all himself. You know what I mean? And I'm very much like that. But the two mix up in a thing. And so when I met my dad, it was like, okay, all right. It gave me permission to not try and be anybody else, or to not try and fit into this crowd or that crowd, or to do the smoking, or to do the this, or to do the that. Because all of it was to try and find myself. But when I saw him, just observing him, I was like, this is who I am. This is a reflection of me. That's my mirror. And so all of those questions that I was asking myself, who am I? What am I here to do? Why do I exist? What's my purpose? He's a poet too.
Mad.
Do you know what I mean? He's a poet too. He's
Blood
a writer
follow
too.
vein.
Do you know what I mean?
Blood follow vein.
So I was like, okay, all right. So you write, and you wanted to, you wanted to go to university, and you wanted to express yourself and tell your truth and share this with the world. And you felt, that the world that you grew up in kind of stopped you and hindered you. As a black man in America, as well as a black man in Jamaica trying to survive, you felt like you couldn't do those things because you needed to provide for your family, so you had to sacrifice. So it feels almost like he's passed that torch on to me. Do you know what I mean? Torch bearer. Yeah, so, yeah. So I'm my roots and find my dad, that's a big thing.
It's powerful, and I think, do you know what? It's anti-you, innit? Anti-you. This is why it's manners. All heap of manners, because just being transparent, as you said, that's not an easy thing to share, in terms of the traumas that you had at such younger age, not feeling like you had anybody to kind of just hold you off and say, yo, come over here, or do this, do that. Obviously mixed up with the drugs and the lifestyle and everything else what comes with it. It's a lot of trauma. It's a lot of trauma, and I think that, like, I don't know how you got through it, but the most I must kind of give you some kind of some strength. And this is where, like, obviously we're gonna get into it, but it's like, I respect it because you speak so heavily on purpose, and I feel like, in fact, I know that everything that you endured, and we speak about endurance a lot, has brought you to this place.
Yeah.
You touched upon not having a father up until the time that you met him at 25, and how important that balance is to have. So yeah, like, as a man who was obviously, well, it's not obvious at all, but I think it's pretty known amongst black boys, we don't have our dads around. And I think there's a lot of emphasis on the black boy without the black male figure in the house, but there's not a lot of emphasis on the black girl without the black male figure in the house. And I love how you put more emphasis on that, because you saw yourself in him.
Yeah.
And when you met him, he's a poet, he's a warrior, he's expressive, he's still as well. So through that time, from being there to there, obviously 25 now, what, obviously as a spiritual person, as you are, heavily spiritual, I think it said on your page, it's one of your mantras, walk with faith, not by sight, something like that. I think it's Corinthians.
Second Corinthians.
Yes, something like that. So does your affiliation with faith, did that during that whole time, that plethora of, trauma, the lifestyle, lacking that sense of belonging, how key was that during that time for you, your faith, your spiritualism, your affinity to the things that are unseen?
I love that you asked that question, because I love talking about these things.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, I think for me that's the most integral thing in my life. It's the most important thing. And it always has been ever since I was born, to be honest with you. Growing up in the church. And then when I was born, I love to tell this story because, when I was born, we have a cousin, a distant cousin. And she was 99 when I was born.
Why?
And for the first 5-6 years of my life, till she was around 104, she instilled prayer in me. She instilled faith in me. And I always go back to that. But then living in Jamaica as well, I was exposed to Pocomania. So the Poco tribe, them revivalist churches, all them used to beat them drum, wrap up them head, them called rapid church. So in the night time, that spiritual, coming from Africa and beating the drum, there's a spiritual essence to that. There's a spiritual awakening that happens to connect it to spirit. And that used to draw me out my bed in the middle of the night time. It was just very, it just pulled me. Yeah. And there were impulses even as a kid. I'm gonna tell you, God protect me, because there's some situations that I was very much forthright as a kid. If you tell me to do something and I think it's right, or I don't think it's right, I'm gonna do what I think is right. And so I got myself in a lot of sticky situations because of that. And I always felt, looking back, that God has his hand on me. Because there's a couple of situations the sister should have been taken out. But now, like, I look back and I look at the gifts that God gave me. So I dream a lot. So I have a lot of precognitive dreams. Yeah. So there's enough things, like even before I met my dad, like a couple of weeks before that, I had a dream that this man that was close to the family passed away. And he came to me in the dream, and he didn't say anything, but he was like showed me this red bus, like the red buses in London. And he was like showing me like I was gonna go and travel. And so I'm like, okay, all right, let me just do my thing. So then I woke up and I said, you know what, I'm gonna buy these shoes. I remember going to Primark and buying a pair of shoes, and say, this is the shoes that I'm gonna wear when I'm traveling. And I didn't know where I was going, but I said, okay. And I never know when they're gonna happen or not, but there's something that confirms it in my spirit that you need to act on this. So I bought the pair of shoes now. Then 2 weeks later, my dad's girlfriend says, we wanna bring you over to California to come and meet your dad.
Sure.
Reggie.
Oh, sure, this is what I'm trying to say.
When I tell you, I said, okay, all right, so this is where I'm going. So the same pair of shoes that I bought was the same pair of shoes I wore on the airplane to go and meet my dad.
What?
Same pair of shoes.
What?
Even when it comes to Nayara, even when it comes to this purpose of protecting children and working with young people, from back in the day, from I was like 12, 13, like, I'm having dreams of carrying these children and protecting them from fire all over the place. Dragon all over the place. Dragon, Bridging. And you know the funniest thing was Revelation. Revelation in the Bible was the only book in the Bible I could read, because that resonated so much with the dreams that I was having, end time dreams. Final. And so from young, I felt like God was showing me like, okay, you've got something to do with kids, you've got something to do with young people. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I know that later down the line, this is what I'm supposed to do. Then one time in 2014 now, this flyer came out of the blue, and it was like, okay, put insurance on your family. You're a teacher. It was addressed to a teacher. Put insurance on your family to protect your family. They said, wait, hold on. I'm gonna order. I'm gonna sign up for nothing like this. Came through the post. I was like, okay, cool. Then years later now, God's given me bare dreams about schools. He's putting me in schools. I'm seeing bare children around me. And I'm like, okay, you want me to do something when it comes to teaching. You want me to do something when it comes to teaching. And then I started getting these opportunities. I met Vicky. I remember talking to people about this. I met Vicky. It starts unfolding. I mean, this person, that person. And then it was like everything that I had seen that was to come started unfolding. It took a number of years. But it was like it all started unfolding, and I was like, okay, that's why I met that person. I don't feel like I'm ready, or I don't feel like I belong in this room. But God, you put me in the room here, whether it's to witness something or to learn something, you put me in this room because you know that it's got something connected to my purpose. Fast forward to 28 years old now, We've got Nayara up and running where we're working with young people. Like recently, I've just spoken to at least 1,500 kids about purpose.
This is ours, yeah.
You know, and then going from there, so my dreams, the way how God speaks to me, and my faith, it's like, I know that I'm more than human. We all are. You know, we're all spiritual beings. And it's what you put your faith in at the end of the day that's going to become, or that's going to determine the path that you're going to take. Do you know what I mean? And what you're going to pour into, and what you're going to allow to pour into you. And honestly, it's a lot now like, okay, God, you're the driver.
Yeah.
I can't do anything else but trust you, because you're the one who made me. You know what's going to happen from beginning to end. So the best thing I can do is put down my will and what I think is right for my life and trust you, even if I don't know what's going to happen in a couple months' time, or even if this is up in the air. I trust that you know what's going to happen. So when you put me in a room where I don't feel like I belong, I'm going to trust that you put me there, and there's something that I need to take away from this to carry through to, you know what I mean, the next thing and to the next person. So everyone I meet now, I'm like, okay, God put me in front of you for a reason. Do you know what I mean? He aligns certain meeting, like even the way that you and Paris met. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You might think you're later, you panic. No. But really, he sees a bigger picture. He's like, okay, you need to meet for this certain thing. And a lot of the times, you know, Paris was saying this, that we try to fight against that. And it took me a long time to come to this place of surrender, but we try to fight against that. And it's like, no, just kind of just second on. Do you know what I mean? And just look around you, look at what's happening, look at the opportunity that's in front of you. But we don't always see it that way, because we always want to be in control in some which way, do you know what I mean? So yeah, faith and trust in God, it's not easy.
What did I tell you? I told you, fam. Like, wow. It's mad because I feel peace. Like, at peace. Like, I feel like you've just answered a lot of things that I have within myself right now. You get me? About surrender, about faith, about divine timing. Yeah. Yo. He's been itching to ask a question, bro. He's been itching.
I've got like 1,000 questions on the conversation.
Yeah.
But first of all, I just wanted to ask, just going back to how you guys were talking about life, what would you say has been the three biggest things that life has currently taught you to this point, from the moment you can remember till this point? Like, what has been the three biggest things that you've learned, that you've taken from life so far?
One, that there's purpose to everything.
I love that word.
Boy, when I listen, Bridget, purpose? Yeah, everything means something. Even if it seems irrelevant, like everything means something. Oh, I could tell you a few stories, but let's not do it like that. But everything means something, do you know what I mean? Secondly, I would say that it's okay. Like, it's okay to be who you are. Like, I feel like a lot of times deep in yourself, you know who you are. Society tells you to be this in order to succeed, or to be this, or you have to. The societal pressures, because who you are is right. Whether that's the color of your skin, whether that's the things that you're passionate about, whether it goes against societal norms, gender, or whatever that is, it is. Be who you are. Because actually God put all of those things in you for a reason. Do you know what I mean? And they're attached to your gift, and they're attached to your purpose. So, and then the third one, I just say trust. Trust, like, it's bigger than you. It's bigger than you could even imagine. Your life is attached to that person's life and that person's purpose. And it's again, it all goes back to purpose. But everything is interconnected. And so even when it feels like it's not working out, actually it is working out for you.
Because above.
Yeah. We see here.
Yeah.
We don't see up here and everything from beginning to end. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And trust me, I'm still struggling with that. And I'm still trying to wrestle with that, but I'm like, okay, God, all right, I don't want you dash a big rock stone in there.
Yo.
It's better I just trust and, you know? Yeah, so that would be the 3 things, yeah.
I don't think you actually understand how beautiful your soul is. Like levels. Just being sat, do you know what? I'm healing, brother. Fam, levels, because how you just articulated that, there wasn't no material, nothing external, there wasn't anything that's unattainable. Everything is within yourself, and through your experiences, what's brought you to this place, your faith, your spirituality, your resilience, your surrender, your scars. If I'm right to say, I think that a part of you gives thanks for all of those components. Because a lot of people would look and hear and thinking, yo, she's being true fire, because you have. How have you come to this place? We often self-medicate with the wrong things, with the wrong people, and you hear, when you speak about purpose a lot, like I said to you, bro, she's an oracle, bro. An oracle. A nurturer, a caregiver, a lover, a healer, a speaker, a mentor, you get me? A light, a torchbearer. And you speak about your purpose being one to teach, how you getting these opportunities with Vicky, anti-Vicky as well, because that's...
You know what I mean? Big Vicky, listen.
Anti-Big V. Anti-V, it's only right.
Yeah.
It's only right, shout out Vicky.
Yeah.
I think we connected through Vicky. This is what I'm saying, it's just mad how everything's just interconnected, and it's not for no reason. We spoke about this setup, this podcast years ago.
See?
And it's like, it's mad, fam. But you've currently been speaking to children. Yeah. Obviously, as I said, you're an advocate, not just amongst the an advocate for excellence, not just black excellence or white excellence or whatever kind of, regardless of what everybody. Yeah. A teacher is not selective in who they teach, they just teach. And the information transcends to whoever it needs to transcend with. So what have you been teaching specifically? I know you're on the gram, making a lot of noise. So yeah, open up on that. Just a little bit.
Yeah. To be honest with you, like the assemblies that I've been doing recently, so I've gone from year 7 to year 11, and it's literally on purpose. It's all been on purpose. Oh, so I've been able to. It's 15 minutes every morning. Well, not every morning, so 15 minutes in their assembly. And it's touching upon the things that I went through in my life, and then talking to them about their foundation, so where they come from, what shapes them, their environment, who they are, what they discover about themselves in secondary school, and that process of getting to know who you are, because you know, secondary school is rough. Yeah, it's rough. Do you know what I mean? But it shapes you as a person, and you don't always see the lessons that you learn then until later on in life. But yeah, it is touching upon what they discover about themselves in secondary school, and then ultimately how, you know, their foundation and what they grew up around and what they discover about themselves, how that shapes their purpose and what they can become if they allow themselves to just learn and to just live in spite of everything that they're going through. So yeah, that's it all goes back to purpose. I feel like I'm repeating myself here. but that's literally that.
It's so important as well, as you're saying, it's such a critical time in life where you try to find yourself. Obviously, we know this, but from the general consensus, what people say, if you can catch a child, a teenager within that age of say 11 to 15, then you're able to kind of present them different opportunities, steer them in a different direction. But now we're talking about something that's not just external, like what other things that you're able to do outside of school anytime, who you should really be hanging around with, all that kind of stuff. It's more internal, where you're from. What do you stand on? What do you learn about yourself? How do you digest and dissect these experiences around you? Do you know if we had that from Wadia? Yo! But again, we weren't supposed to have that.
Go through our own journeys, isn't it?
So, yeah, man.
I feel like, do you know what? Like, even what you said, like it being critical at that age. Like, I feel like a lot of people, teachers going, the adults around them, you forget that they're human beings. Sometimes, as young as they are human beings who have lives that they're going to grow into and people that they're going to evolve into. And I don't really think we are mindful enough of what we're speaking into them, because what we speak into them takes root. Do you know what I mean? So what you speak into them is so critical, because they can grow up and start to believe those things about themselves. So you have to learn how to speak. It's not just banking information into them so that they can go through these steps. And they're human beings that's going to come into interaction with other people. Like, we have to be so mindful of that. So I feel like being transparent and being honest with them, obviously safeguarding them as well, but being honest with them, like, how many teenagers say to their parents, "Mommy, why you not tell me that? Daddy, why you not tell me that? You're acting like you never been through that before." And you know, so the parents have been through it too. Do you know what I mean? But they're scared of telling their kids, or the teachers are scared of telling the kids about real life. And it's like, just be honest with them. And I feel like when you start to be honest with kids, you're on a level playing field as you're two human beings interacting. It's not somebody that's superior to you. It's, it's a relationship that flows both ways. Yeah, man. So what you said about it being critical?
It's critical.
It's critical.
It's critical because it's like you're saying, it's that relationship that you build with them on a level that's just through honesty and transparency. That's why I know when I walk into a room, man can talk and chop up with certain things, because what you see is what you get, Virgin. And I think the good thing about young children are, even though they are gullible, like we all are, they're fantastic shit detectors. So they know if you're about what you're really about. If what you say comes from a place that is genuine. So, I respect.
And they don't feel no way about calling it out, neither.
They don't feel no way. No way.
Don't feel no way.
Like, look, it's itching.
What I was gonna say is, like, just from hearing you speak, and like a lot of people, I'm not sure if I've said this to you, it sounds like you have what I call expensive experience that cannot be taught, that you cannot be bought, that experience you can only get from literally experiencing it. And because of everything that you've been through, it's kind of building you to be the perfect teacher, because you felt trauma, you get what I'm saying? You know why it likes to be hurting and things like that. And for me personally, I don't think there's a bad teacher, someone like that, you get what I'm saying? And especially you're kind, you're a healer as well, like, nah, man, like he's saying, you're an oracle, man.
Oracle. Yo, wow. Put respect on our name still. Mama's kitchen. Daniel. Go on.
But so what would you say, what books are you reading at the moment?
He loves this one, doesn't he? He loves this one. Look at him. No.
I love that question though. But I'm not reading one book. I'm trying to read several. They can't pay attention to just one.
You sent me a book last night as well, early in the morning.
So Leadership and Loneliness, because we all know when you get into a position of, I think, leadership, or you are responsible for other people,
It's a lonely place.
It's
It's
lonely.
It's a lonely place.
And you can't really, I think, speak to anyone about it unless there's somebody else that's going through that. I mean, you can talk to anybody, but you can't really reason or get that resonance unless it's somebody else that's going through that. And it can be a very isolating thing. That's something that I'm grappling with at the moment. And then I'm reading African Womanism as well, which is very much just centered on being a black woman on an intersectional level. How we govern ourselves is looking at, I think, navigating society from an Afrocentric perspective. So I'm reading that. That's in there. I still need to get into that. I'm still wrapping my mind around it. Yeah, Woman Evolve is by Sarah Jakes Roberts. I love her so much. Brilliant pastor. But yeah, she wrote this book, Woman Evolve, and she basically looked at Eve and how Eve fell. You know, a lot of people would say Eve went against what God told her to do. And she was like, well, hold on, actually, we can rescue Eve. Let's rescue Eve. We all do some ratchet things sometimes, you know what I mean? We all make mistakes. And it's about how it is looking at your vulnerability, it's looking at the mistakes that you make, and then it's asking you as a woman to evolve. Let's see how we can learn from these things. Let's see how we can develop as a person. And for me, how I interpret it, it is that Eve lives through us. Eve lives in us. And so it is now our responsibility to evolve for Eve and to, do you know what I mean? To make her proud and to get that retribution again in some kind of way. So that book, yeah, it's a good book.
There you go. No, I'm joking. It loves that book one, but it's important as well because we speak about, you know, the things that we consume. And how important that is to help shape the way we think. And obviously, you are reading books on woman, which is important because it's a self-discovery path that you're on continuously. So now you're now a woman, 28. What challenges have you faced as a black woman specifically? I know we touched upon it in adolescence, but I'm talking about as a woman now. In terms of like the colorism, trying to navigate through that path, obviously being a professional as well. Yeah. What challenges do you face? How hard is it to navigate right now?
It's a beautiful time to be in because the conversations are being had. And it's great that conversations are being had, but for me, it's like, okay, what are the actions that's being taken? Are you still hiring black women in TV, not just mixed race women, to come tell our stories, but you hire black women to take these positions on and off the camera? It's, are you putting them in positions of power? Are they coming into that rooms? And I think slowly but surely we are. And slowly but surely, we're not waiting for anybody else to give us a seat at the table. We're just kick down the door and, you know what I mean? And I build up the table myself. Because we realize that this ally thing and this, the white fragility, not everybody's ready to have those real conversations. So for me, kind of even going back personally, navigating even relationships as well, when you're talking about colorism. I told you when I came here, it was not just about being a black woman, it was being a dark-skinned black woman. So I used to hear the word lighted and
brown skin
and this and that. And I used to be called bleak and too black, even by black women as well. You know, you're too black. No, we're too black, no good. You know, so it's, even now, I have to put in practices with myself. Things like just looking in the mirror and saying, Danaë, you're beautiful. Your black skin is still beautiful. Because it's navigating relationships. We live in a predominantly white country. In Sheffield alone, you have enough man with a light-skinned woman. And just as a black-skinned woman, like, you don't see a lot of, you know, black love happening here.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
Yo, we have this conversation. Yo,
Come on now.
It's true. I was talking to Auntie Leisha about this the other day, and Auntie Leisha's strong, and she's saying like, yo, like, where are the brothers with the black woman?
Where them then?
Where are they?
Where are you?
Black is beautiful.
Right?
Black is beautiful.
And this is the
Black
thing.
is beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Black is beautiful.
So beautiful. And I think because we don't see those images enough, do you know what I mean? And the education. It comes down to the education. Brethren, black man, do you know where you come from? Black woman, do you know where you come from? Do you know who you are? Do you know that your love is beautiful and it's powerful? This is why people want, take it down and break the black family apart. Do you know what I mean? We're powerful together. We're powerful together. Do you know what I mean? And it's decolonizing the mind. Do you know what I mean?
Decolonizing the mind.
It's decolonizing the mind and remembering who you come from and what your roots is. And in this city, what I realized, if in the school you're not seeing images, and this is why, even with the presentation that I've done, I purposely put dark-skinned black women on there. So that you can see other people. This is predominantly white school that I'm talking to. So they hardly see black people in positions of power that exist. And I'm like, okay, you need to see us. You need to see that we exist and that it's a norm. And so, it's like, okay, even when it comes to love, I probably won't find it in Sheffield. Do you know what I mean? But that's okay, my king soon come, you know what I mean? My king the old age, you know what I mean? And I've got to match him and he's got to match me. So when it comes to love, it's like, okay, do you know what I mean? The right person will come. The more I educate myself and liberate myself, I trust that he's doing the work too. Do you know what I mean? But it's an interesting time to be in as a black woman.
Wow. Do you know what? I just love the fact that you spoke on that, because it's a conversation that not a lot of people want to have, and we have had this conversation. We will have this conversation on here, in the face, because it's important. It's not just about black Barbie and black Dolly and black Box, even though I type read them books, because Nick and them doing their thing in terms of educating the youths from a perspective of the books that they read. They can see people who look like them. But there's more that can be had. There's more that needs to be done, and it's not going to happen by them letting us in. It's going to happen by us kicking down the door and saying, no, we are here, we belong here. This is what it looks like. And I respect it, because I don't think there's enough talk about the strife that the black woman has to endure.
A whole heap of rejection.
Even from our own. And this is what I'm saying, it's a poison, man. It's decolonizing the mind. I'm jacking that one. I'm jacking one. But that speaks to me about messaging. And when you are a person like you are, articulate, eloquent, you're also a poet, singer, songwriter. So when you think about being a person who is a spokeswoman, how responsible do you feel now to put those messages through your artistry? How important is it for you to be doing that as an artist? Because I remember that guy you sent me, Face Soul, and I only looked at it yesterday. Imagine this I'm saying. Imagine that I'm scrolling up the chat thinking, why am I even seeing it? That's why I liked it yesterday. I was like, wow, interesting. What a guy. What a guy. So how important is it for you to, relay your mantras, your, experience, your guidance, your everything really through your artistry? How important is that for you?
I think it is of utmost priority. And I really have to be very mindful of what I say. Back in the day, we used to post anything, you know what I mean? until I met my father. And he said, Danaë,
You can't do that.
you can't do that. You need to watch what you're saying because essentially you're a messenger. And it took me a while to believe that about myself. But what we say, words sound power. Do you know what I mean? What you put out in the world has, impact on people's lives. And so now I have to think very intentionally about what it is that I say in my poetry, what it is that I write, what I put in my music, and making sure that that's doing what it's supposed to do. There's enough time to sit down and record my thing, I'm gonna put it up, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah. So I really have to think intentionally about those things because, again, people are paying attention. We live in an age where social media, children are accessing these things, and you don't know who's looking. So if they're gonna click on something, do you know what I mean? Let it be the right thing. From me anyway, I have responsibility over myself. I want to say no. You can't control what other people say or what other people do, but you can be intentional about what you do and what you say. So I guess I try to make it a point to make it something that's fruitful, at least. And then sometimes, I'm ratchet.
Yeah.
Because there's several sides to ourselves, but yeah.
I respect it again because it's so true that we have to be very mindful of what we put out into the world, not just for ourselves, but for those little ears that are tuning in, because they take it literal, because it is. And we spoke about this at camp when I was saying that, like, I know that you know now that you are here to do something purposefully. And that will encompass being a teacher, you're saying, as we know, being a mentor, being a sportswoman, being an advocate, being an oracle, a healer. And it's a beautiful art. It's a beautiful art, and this is why I wanted to have something like this, so we could have real life depictions of what fulfillment looks like, and how beautiful it actually is. Energy. We're just in a room, kicking, chopping it up, reasoning.
Sorry, I'm so sorry to cut
Go
you,
on.
but I want to ask you a question,
Okay.
actually, because when we're talking about messaging here,
Okay.
why daily devotion? Why do you feel like that name was important?
Oh gosh.
After all, we're talking about messaging, so and what we put out.
Devotion for me isn't just a thing that you do because you love something. People say I'm devoted to this person because I love them, but that's not enough to stop a man from infidelity and them kind of things there. It's a lifestyle for me, and it's daily.
Okay.
So the person that I am, my morals, my fundamentals are so ingrained in me now that it's just a daily practice.
Wow.
And more so, every person that I meet, what's theirs? I'm intrigued in what's your daily practice like? What's your daily devotion? What do you stand on every day? It's not just when it's good, when it's hard. Like, what are your thoughts? How do you navigate through the world when it gets hard? X, Y, and Z. So that's why I wanted to call it the daily devotion. So every person that we have on will be essentially living out what they do daily. Coco is an artist. Carmino is a sneaker art. He's an artist, painter, designer. Big Ant, he's an advocate for. He does that daily. This is something that's ingrained in him. You, a teacher, as we say, a mentor, a spokeswoman, a torchbearer. That's ingrained in you. That's you. So through all of that we've chopped up and dissected about, being from here to come in and having not even some, a lot of resistance to the world, then meeting your dad to being the person that you are now, that's been ingrained in you. So nothing can change again. You get me? That's what devotion is to me. It's not just because you love, because love's not enough. I think it's only one component, you get me?
I hear that.
That's another conversation.
I hear that.
That's another conversation.
Do you see this guy?
What?
Do you see this guy, people?
No, man, it's what we do, man. It's what we're doing. Us two have chopped it up many a times and, about things and experiences and where it brings us.
Yeah.
But I know that anybody watching this is one, not just healed they will take something out of this that's going to help them ignite their purpose if they don't know what it is, or if they do know what it is, it's going to help them, ingrain that into them.
Yeah.
So that they're devoted to what they believe it's, you know what I'm saying?
There we go.
So, yeah, man, I just want to give thanks for just blessing us, gracing us. I'm just glad that you know. I am so glad that you know that you have to lead. I'm glad that you know you have to lead and that you're willing to shoulder that responsibility. Because it's not easy, it's a lonely place.
Yeah.
Behind closed doors, as you said, we crumble, but we go again.
There we go, daily devotion.
Oh, you're joking.
Daily devotion. No, thank you so much.
Oh, it's love.
It's an honor being
Oh,
here,
love.
man. Yeah, and you're stepping into your purpose, and you're leading same way as well, same way as you, Paris. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's an honor to be here at this time, alive at this time. Do you know what I mean? In this space.
I'm alive.
Yeah. Hey.
You know how you talk about purpose, right?
Yeah.
What are tips for someone who's watching at home? How do they find that purpose?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd say go out and live. Go out and experience new experiences. Do things that you like, but do things that you don't usually do as well. Because you just may find a side of you, or it might unlock a side of you that you didn't even realize was there. And it's about meeting people as well. Like, people reflect who you are. We can't be afraid of the world as much as the world is. Whew. But we can't be afraid of people as well. So go out and put yourself in situations that are out of your comfort zone and challenge yourself and talk to people, because you might just see yourself or parts of yourself that resonate in somebody else, and that might spark a fire in you. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, go out and live and read.
I don't read enough, man. I fell off stuff. I fell off. Yeah, as we said off camera, I feel like whereas now I'm rejuvenated. You get me?
You know, listen,
Yeah.
you don't even just have to be reading. Watch films. Do you know what I mean?
Consume the right information.
Consume the right information. Do you know what I mean? And you learn, good or bad, but you learn what it is that you stand for or what resonates with you, or you're like, I don't really like that. That don't resonate with me too tough. But you have to be in the world and around people and interact with people and interact with experiences in order to see who you are.
That's what I love, or who you are not.
Or who you are not.
Or who you are not.
There we go. There we are.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be my tips, folks.
Where can we find you? Where can we find you on the socials? Like, where are you? Are you obviously on the gram under, is it Mama's Kitchen?
Mama's Kitchen 1931.
And Nayara Arts.
And Nayara Arts Sheffield. On Instagram it's Mama's Kitchen _1931. And then on Instagram as well for Nayara, it's Nayara Arts Sheffield. And yeah. That's
Yeah. It's purposeful. It's purposeful. It's purposeful. Being here at this time with you. Chopping up, and it's mad because it's actually a catch up.
Yeah.
It's actually a catch up. So it's like, yeah, like, everything, yo, divine timing, in short. But listen, Anti Danaë, thank you for your insights, your touch, your love, your transparency, in your healing, all in all.
Thank you.
Anti-Paris up north.
What, Paris?
Start reading your books, because you know next time he's going to ask you your top shade. Anti-Kitty as well, daily devotion, salute, you don't know.
Let's see.